New England's only hour-long weekend report, News Center 5 at 6.
Today, our champion, Steve Renaud of Southbridge, Massachusetts, faces the challenge of Peter Pereira, Jr. of Woburn, Massachusetts, on Candlepin bowling. Hi, everybody. Welcome once again to Candlepin Bowling. I'm Don Gillis, and I'm sure glad you could join us here at the Fairway in Natick, Massachusetts, on Route 9, just a little bit west of the city of Boston, for 3 strings of Candlepin bowling, with total pinfall determining our winner. Now, both the winner and the runner-up will receive tangible evidence of their participation today in these trophies from the Ace Trophy Company of Boston. We also have guaranteed prize money of $1,200. $700 goes to the winner, $350 goes to the runner-up, $50 available to the winner of each string. Obviously, should they tie in a string, they would split that at $25 apiece. In my hand, I have a gift certificate from Candlepin Bowling for $50 from Super 7 Tire Dealers. That will go to today's runner-up. And we still have to determine who will win this, because this will go to our marksman of the day, the bowler with the most marks. It's a $50 gift certificate from True Value Hardware Stores and Home Centers. Enough of that. They'll make more money. I'll tell you about that as the program continues. But right now, let's meet today's bowler, shall we? And first of all, let me welcome Peter Pereira, Jr. here.
How you doing?
First time on this show, although you've been on the double show. And the bloodlines are pretty good, since we look back to the fact that your mother, many, many years ago, Debbie Ganji then, was a participant on the old Winning Pin show.
Yeah.
And along with Don Riley, which shows how old he is, right? You're making your first appearance here, and you are a senior at Woburn High School, huh?
Yeah.
And what's next for you after Woburn High School?
I plan on going to Bentley College.
And what would you like to specialize in?
Accounting and business management.
You figure you're going to be making a lot of money in bowling and everything else. You also, I guess your family also owns the Woburn Bowlodrome, huh?
Yeah.
So you better get a good business background. All right, Steve Renaud, you're rolling on. This possibly may be the youngest combination we've had. I'm not too sure. How old are you, Steve?
I'm going to be 24 in a couple months.
24, and you're what?
18.
18. How about that? You both also have something else in common, I see, because you, Peter, were the 1987 men's Class A state singles champion, and this man over here was the 1986 NBA Open Singles champion. Okay, now, see, I've given you both a big build-up, so you'll have to live up to it today on the program, all right? Good luck to you and to you, Peter, and we'll get underway right after this.
Candlepin Bowling is sponsored in part by True Value Hardware Stores. It's more than just our name, it's our way of doing business.
Now leading off, making his first appearance on our show, Peter Pereira, Jr. Big average, 120, and he starts off with a spread eagle as he came in too full on the head pin. But that has to be, in one way, encouraging, because he was right on the head pin and covered it. So it's a 6 to begin. But what he must remember, and I'm sure will, is that he hit the head pin with the first ball. Right on it. 4 horsemen right side and the 7 pin. He was working on trying to get that 7 pin in addition to the 4 horsemen, wanting to start the domino effect, and did not get the last 2. But he has a 10. Now our defending champion, Steve Renaud. Since defeating Dick O'Connell, Steve has been successful for 5 consecutive weeks. This is number 6. Just the 10 pin with a couple of pieces of wood. 9. Steve's league average, 128. High single, 187. High triple, 481. He had a 663 in winning his roll-off. He's representing Al LaBelle's Hippodrome Lanes in Southbridge. Nine. Now, Peter Pereira, Jr. League average 120, high single 174, high triple 458, a 631 in winning his roll-off. 5, 6, and 10. There's wood in front of the 6 and 10. Ten for Peter. Three, 4, and 7. With wood just to the left of in a lovely spot of the 3. But he had to hit the 3. And instead just took the wood. Eight. Now Steve Renaud. And our defending champion comes in 2 full on the head pin. Gets a 7 drop. And the split, it gives him the 3 pin, the 4, and the 7 with wood around the 3. And he moved everything over and got it. Made the spare. Once again, 2 full on the head pin. He gets 5. The right side of a spread eagle is over there, and the 3, 6, and 10 over on the left. He's got 4, 7 with wood in front of it. Yes, that was a beautiful shot. That was truly a beautiful, beautiful spare. He utilized it perfectly. He hit the 3, 6 pocket. He kicked it over, got the wood in front of the 4 and 7, took out the 10 also. A very, very pretty spare. And after 4 boxes now in the first string, with the bonus ball yet to be thrown by Steve Renaud, he leads 43-34. Challenger Pete Pereira, Jr. on the line for the 5th box of the first string. Left the 4 horsemen left side, the 5, the 8, and the 10. Once again, a little 2 full, chopping a little wood here. It's a 7 box. The 3 and the 10 with wood scattered around and between. But he had to hit the object pin. A 9. All right, Steve Renaud, our defending champion, has 2 marks up on the board, 3 in a row. In any string establishes a bonus of $50, as most of you already know. Once again, 2 full on the head pin. Just 4. It's not the spread eagle, but it is spread eagle to the right. But then on the left he has the 2, 4, and 8. So it's an 8. No bonus as yet. $100 bonus, of course, for anybody who goes over 400. 3 marks in a row, any combination strikes or spares in the same string, $50 in bonus money. Then each subsequent consecutive mark in that same string, $50 apiece as long as he can keep it going. And if 3 of them in a row happen to be strikes, there will be an extra bonus of $1,000 for the 3 strikes in a row. Pretty shot. Now Pete Pereira, Jr. Al Giglio keeping score on that big scoreboard. Keith Williams keeping score beside me. So close to a hammer. Our lob line judge and referee is always Ralph Stewart. There he is sitting at the line. Look at those socks. Aren't they beautiful? For a spare? Yes. All right, Pete Pereira breaks the ice and gets his first mark. Five and 10 up there. 8 was the fill. Got the 5, scooted that ball over, but not quite far enough to get the 10. Don Riley is our statistician and coordinator. Steve Renaud slams 7 of them down, and he has a triangle to work on over on the right. And he has a nice piece of wood in front, which should help him. And the only danger would be of taking out just the 2 on the left-hand side, which would be 4 and 9, and not getting the 10. But he got it for the spare. Our crew today, Dick Erickson, Roger Rice, Eddie Barron, Rich O'Neill, and, of course, our producer-director, Phil Rubin. Just 4. 4 horsemen right side, plus the 5 and 9. That's what he's working at. Still 3 of them there. A 9. High-low jackpot will be worth $525. Home viewer jackpot, $100. Pete Pereira. 2, 4, 7, and 8 on the left. Over on the right, the 10. A couple of pieces of wood in front of it. Got 1 of the 2, and it's an 8. Strike in the 10th. First bonus ball. That's 7. He's left with the 3, 6, and 7. Wood in between. All right, he got a 9 on top. 105. Steve Renaud, defending champion. Oh, he came close to throwing a hammer that time. Everything went down except the 4-pin. Boy, did he ever cover that. Right on it, all over it. Didn't like that. Just 4. Right side, 4 horsemen plus the 5 and 9. Made it! Made a spare out of it. Now at 112. Big 9, 121. So the only bonus money that we give away so far will be the money that we're handing out to Steve Renaud for winning the first string. $50. Winning it by a score of 121 to 105. In the middle string, our defending champion leads it off. He is Steve Renaud. Once again, 2 full on that head pin. He's left with 4 pins on the left and 2 on the right. And he got everything except the 5. Nine. Steve, single, employed as a grinder and representing, as I said, the Hippodrome lanes. Four horsemen left side and the 10 pin. One piece of wood lying just to the right of and adjacent to the 1 and 2. But he had to hit number 1 in order to kick that, to make the whole thing, and he left number 1. Took it out for a 10. Pete Pereira, Jr. of Woburn, high school senior at Woburn High School, and incidentally, in addition to being an excellent candlepin bowler, he is also an outstanding student and a member of the National Honor Society. He's working on a spread eagle here, +1, because the 8 pin is still in the back. He got the right side. It's a 9. For those of you watching on Channel 5 in Boston, I want to remind you to stay tuned as soon as this ends, because between 1 and 1:30, Brian Leary will be your host for another of the Massachusetts 1988 Massachusetts Championships. Today it will be the men's doubles. Men's doubles, Massachusetts Bowling Association Championship. The men's double final today, 1 to 1:30 on Channel 5 in Boston. Too bad, as Peter did not get the spare that he expected. Steve Renaud. Yes. A little delay, but the last 2 pins went down. Now working on the strike. First bonus ball. He's got 7. And to make a spare out of it, he has to pick up 3, 6, and 10 with no wood. He knew as soon as he delivered it, he was going to miss the 3. Big hit by Pete Pereira. Yes. Spare in the third for Peter Pereira, Jr. Making his first appearance on our show, 18 years old. That always hurts, but what the bowler has to remember is I did hit the head pin, which is what I am trained to do, what I've learned to do, what I've worked hard at learning how to do. It's a 9. Now, once again, we take a check on the scoreboard. After 4 boxes, we do that in the first string and in the middle string. And right now, in this middle string, Steve Renaud, 48, Pete Pereira, 43. Steve Renaud, our defending champion. Thin hit to the right side. 6th week. 6th consecutive week for Steve Renaud. And the 5 pin's still there. A 10. Once again, the 5 is still there, but also the 7. Now he has wood to the right of the 5, wood in front of the 7. Let's see if he can utilize it. Well, it looked as if he was going to get it. He was going to hit the 5, bang that wood off the sidewall, have it come spinning back across and get the 7, but it just kind of died off that sidewall. Pete Pereira, Jr. Once again, knocks out the head pin and winds up with a partial spread eagle. Got the 3 on the left standing, 2 on the right. And he takes out that right side. The 9. There it is, backdoor strike for Pete Pereira as he begins the second half of the match. He's at the halfway point, just starting it. Steve Renaud. Once again, 2 full on the head pin, and he is left with almost a spread eagle. The same 3 pins on the left, 2 on the right. It's a 9. Steve Renaud's league average is 128. He rolled a 121 first string, and he's going to have to work to hit his average here. Once again, chopping wood right through. Spread eagle plus 1 additional pin, the 9. That's the left side. A 9. Working on a strike right now is today's challenger, Pete Pereira. First ball gets him 9 and leaves the kingpin, the 5. Piece of wood off to the right. Just a wee bit off, though. He has doubled. He has a strike and a spare. Got a break. The 10 fell, so he's left with just one pin to work on, the 2-pin. Needs this single pin, the 2, for a spare. Right on it. Boy, he was all over that one. 3 marks in a row. $50 in bonus money for Pete Pereira, Jr. Steve Renaud. Steve got a break there because he expected, as he looked away, he thought he had done it again and punched out the middle. But he has a spare leave. 4 and 7. Right on it. Nine is the drop. A single pin to pick up the 5. Yes. Fine finish here to the middle string. 2 spares. Missed the head pin that time and gets a 5. 120. Hasn't hit his average in either of these strings. Now with 3 marks in a row, today's challenger, Pete Pereira, Jr., making his first appearance on our show. And the 18-year-old high school senior from Woburn High School gets 6 for a drop here, and he'll be working on the 1, 2, 7, and 10. A couple of pieces of wood in back of the 1 and 2, and a piece of wood to the left of the 2, rolling back. Now coming out again. And he wants to take a good look at this. And, of course, the rules indicate he must wait until the wood has stopped. Got everything except the 7. It's a 10 box. 117. All right, he's going to be facing the 3 and the 10, and he's got a couple of pieces of wood. Well, one of them's rolling off to the left. The other one is perpendicular almost to the 3, and another one on an angle between the 3 and the 10. Let's see if he can make it. No. Ralph Stewart calls time. Our love line judge and referee wants to get a ball that is loose in the gutter. Takes it away. Now Peter makes a 10. A fine 127. Give him another $50 in bonus money as he wins the second string. And that makes things a little closer as they both, the 2 young bowlers, look over there. Pete a little more relaxed than he was when he first started, and that's understandable, making his first appearance on the show that he has probably been watching ever since he can remember. There it is at the end of 2. Our defending champion, Steve Renaud, Southbridge, Massachusetts, 241. Our challenger, Pete Pereira, Jr., Woburn, Massachusetts, 232. Challenger Peter Pereira, Jr., about to lead off in the 3rd string on lane 2 here at the fairway in Natick, Massachusetts. Once again, 2 full on the head pin, but he was on the head pin. Nice shot as he took out the 3 on the right and one of the 3 on the left for a 10. He has it. He gets a break. 2-pin win. Now his spare leave is the 6 and 10. The wood is gathered on the left, 3 pieces. Unhappy with himself for releasing that. I don't know whether that was a moment of indecision as to going directly at the 6 and 10, which he just did, and which I assumed he would, and we all did, or whether for a second he toyed with the idea of using the piece of wood that was nearest and moving it over, and then as he was delivering the ball, perhaps changed his mind. Maybe it was just an out-and-out miss. Steve Renaud faced with the 4 horsemen left side, and in the back, he has the 8-pin. Got 2 of them, but still did not hit the head pin, so it's 1, 7, 8 still there. Pretty 10, a pretty 10. He has a 9-pin lead in the match going into the 3rd string, and of course they've tied with 10s in the first box. One, 3, 7, 9, and Wood in back of the 1 and the 3. Another piece close to the 9. Yes! Fair. Real good Candlepin bowler will be our challenger next week, Paul Berger of Hopedale. Pete Pereira knocks everything down except the 4-pin. No wood to help. 4-pin alone. And he's got it. No question about it. Just 3. Four horsemen right side, plus the 5 and 9, and the 7 alone with Wood in front of it. But he made it. He made it. A pretty spare. Steve Renaud working on a spare. He gets a big strike. It looked for a moment as though it was going to be a 9, but then the 2-pin toppled. At the moment, up by 19. First ball gets him 5. And he's got them spread all over the place. He's got the 2, the 5, the 7, the 8, and the 10. Got the 5, but there are still 4 pins standing. So the fill was 6 on the strike, and 7 in the box. Two in a row up on the board for our 18-year-old challenger, Pete Pereira. Bonus. 7 more. 5, 6, and 10. Wood on an angle near the 5. Angling from left to right into it.
Take another one. Take another one.
Got 1. The 6-pin. And the wood was more of a roadblock than anything else, so it's an 8 box. The 9 just fell, so he has the 3-pin with Wood behind it. 7 and 10. Very pretty spare. Very pretty for Pete Pereira. Beautiful. Oh, isn't that pretty? Now, Steve Renaud. Steve has a spare leave over on the left, the 4 and 7. In completed boxes right now, his lead in the match is 12. And he gets a spare here, so the lead goes up to 14 because he's opposite an 8 box. And we'll see what he gets as a fill. He gets a big 9. Up to 23 in completed frames. Single pin. Oh, missed it. That may be costly. It's a 10. All right, Peter, working on a spare and trying to cut that 23-pin deficit. That's too bad. Just 4. So that brings it down to 19. And...
All right, couple 3 more, Pete. Couple 3 more. Hang in there, Cup.
a 9. Now in the 8th box of the last string. And not what he wanted, because he has a split. He has the 4 and 7 over on the left, the 10 over on the right, and no wood. He got the 4-7 over there, but didn't get the bounce off the sidewall that he might have wanted. 10. All right, with 4 boxes to go for Steve Renaud and 2 for his challenger, he leads by 19. He has that tricky triangle, is about the best way I can describe it, made up of the 2, 4, 5. The one that looks so easy but isn't. A 10. 20. $20 pins right now. That's his lead. And a big hit, almost a hammer. He's left with a 5-pin. Piece of wood rolling around a little bit. He has to wait for it to settle down. Now, ready to go for that kingpin. Single pin, he has it. So that's a big spare because he has a 20-pin lead and he is opposite the 10 box.
Come on, give us 3 in a row.
Just the 10-pin to knock down. And he's all over it. Bonus. Oh, he came right in on the head pin, but did not get what he wanted. He got just 3. So he's got spread eagle plus the 8-pin. And that hurt him a lot. Nine. And a 113. Steve Renaud already at 102 with a 9-pin lead. Just 4. Nope, no spare. The hand is for Ralph Stewart, who went over to check on a piece of wood to see whether it was near the deadwood line, and it finally rolled on. It's a 10 box. One pin to pick up for another mark. $367 plus. So Steve Renaud has won again. 6 in a row, and next week he'll be challenged by Paul Berger, whose average is 131. And strike on top of that. 377. Steve Renaud keeps on rolling along after defeating Dick O'Connell, who had been on here for 7 weeks, and then he comes along and he is going to his 7th week next week against Paul Berger with a final score of Renaud 377 and Pereira 345. $100 in this barrel. That's what we are about to give away today, if we can find somebody who will be 10 pins either side of 722, which is the total pinfall both bowlers combined. Now, I'll tell you a little more about that in a moment, but I don't want to forget to remind all the folks who are watching on Channel 5 in Boston that today, immediately after this program goes off the air, we'll be coming back again with a half hour from the state championship. It's going to be the men's doubles, which will be shown. Brian Leary will be your host. The men's doubles will be shown today, right after we go off the air with this. I'm reminded of that because both of these young men have been familiar with the state championship. In 1986, the NBA Open Singles champion was Steve Renaud, and in 1987, the NBA Open Doubles champion with his father Harry, and of course, young Pete Pereira Jr., making his debut on this show, is a seasoned veteran in the sense that in 1987, he was the men's Class A state singles champion. So that will be in Channel 5 in Boston only at 1 o'clock, right after we go off the air here. It will be the men's doubles of the Massachusetts Bowling Association State Championship. Here, of course, are the cards. All I'm asking you to do, remember, is send in a card, not a letter, 1 per day, and send them along, please, with your guess as to what the total pinfall would be, both bowlers combined, on the day that you hope I will draw your card. Send it along to Candlepin Bowling, WCVB-TV, 5 TV Place, Needham, Massachusetts, zip code number 02192. Okay, enough of that, Donald. Let's mix them up here and tell the folks that when I do draw a card in here, even if it's nowhere near that, the person whose name is on the card will be rewarded with these prizes.
A Hyphenix plant food gift set contains fine quality Hyphenix care products. Grow bigger, hardier plants with Hyphenix plant food. Hyphenix makes house plants grow like crazy. And a British Sterling gift set for the man who's not just a friend, the cologne that's not just a fragrance. Give him British Sterling and make him a legend in his own time. And Peterson Vise Grip Tools, the handyman's best friend. This Vise Grip long nose locking pliers gets in those hard-to-reach places and features a built-in wire cutter.
All right, let's find out now, shall we? See if we have a winner. I love it when there aren't too many cards in here. It gives everybody a little better chance. I know you folks out there say, hey, there aren't as many that I have to compete with. But, of course, at the same time, that means that there isn't as much money in here. It's going to be $100. But let's find out. 722 was the total, both bowlers combined. And, of course, if we don't have a winner, we'll add $50, and next week we will have $150. Come on, Donald. The suspense is killing somebody. It's Mike Lyons of Stage Road in South Deerfield, Massachusetts. And Mike's guess is 747. Okay, so now we add another 50. It'll be worth 150. Steve Renaud, you've been for 6 weeks now trying to do this. I want to see if you can knock down those three. There are only 3 little pins there. That's all. And it's worth $525 if you can do it. Oh, you thought you had it, didn't you, huh? Okay, Peter. I'll tell you one thing, Peter. You are not going to forget the head pin today, are you, huh? I mean, you were taught, I know, when you first started bowling, I'm sure your mother had something to do with it, and your dad, to hit the head pin. But not so often that you keep punching it out, huh?
I get too much of it all the time.
Yeah, that was a little bit frustrating, I'm sure. Well, tell me this. Was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
Not at all. Thought it was going to be worse.
You thought it was going to be worse, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you didn't bowl your average, I know that, but still, hey, listen, there are a lot of guys who have not come on here and bowled a 345.
Made it that far.
And you know that. Okay, we have for you, let's see, we have $350, and in bonus money, another $100, which won't be bad when you're going to school. I mean, have a little in your kick, huh? When you go to bed. Yeah, sure. We also have for you the smaller of the 2 trophies from the Ace Trophy Company, and that's a $50 gift certificate from Super 7 Tire Dealers. Good luck to you, and I'm sure we'll see you often again. Steve, who keeps rolling along. Steve Renaud.
Today was a toughie.
6 in a row. And then we have for you, of course, $700, $100 in bonus money, the $50 gift certificate from True Value Hardware Store, the big trophy from Ace Trophy Company. We're going to reward you and let Paul Berger be your challenger next week. All right. Don Gillis. See you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.